Right, let's jump straight into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive clash in venture capital philosophy and the pretty wild mathematical architecture needed to secure true creator sovereignty. We are looking at a fundamental shift in how tech is built, funded, and legally protected right from the ground up. The whole goal here? To make absolutely sure that you, the creator, don't just end up as fuel for someone else's machine.
Here's our cognitive map for today. 1. Architecture of extraction. 2. The wood chipper effect. 3. The 1689 digital breach. 4. Tools for legal engineering. 5. Engineering digital sovereignty. And finally 6. The 10-year Vineyard. We'll be moving from the invisible mechanics holding us back directly to the legal and technical toolkit needed to fight back.
Section 1. Architecture of extraction. The casino VC versus the Vineyard. So consider this warning from researcher Ramona Tudaransia. She points out that modern AI platforms act exactly like 17th century royal monopolies, stripping away your cognitive ownership. Back in the day, the stationer's company used their monopoly on the physical printing press to extract value from writers. Today, well, massive tech platforms are doing the exact same thing. They're weaponizing their monopoly on GPUs and language models to extract your data and ultimately your sovereignty. And look at the stark contrast in how we build. On one side, you have the Liquidator VC. This operates exactly like a Las Vegas casino floor. They're placing aggressive bets, riding these crazy hype cycles, and aiming for rapid, short-term extraction, which just leaves massive collateral damage in its wake. But Legitimacy VC entirely abandons that casino vibe. It functions way more like a hands-on venture lab, focusing on cultivating a vineyard. It's about building foundational infrastructure that actually endures.
Section 2. The wood chipper effect. Fungible assimilation in modern AI.
Here's an absolutely crucial point to understand. AI isn't some independent, conscious creator. Technically speaking, it's literally a wood chipper. It chops up your unique, exhausting labor and processes it into a completely fungible mass, kind of like a venison burger. Once your majestic, unique data goes into that grinder, you can never reverse engineer the original animal. The specific path of that data, its provenance, is just permanently destroyed. 80 to 90%. That is a staggering number. It represents the percentage of modern AI compute cycles that are just probabilistic hardware-level approximations. Inside these systems, the floating point units are basically making highly educated guesses. To process massive amounts of data at blinding speeds, they use rounding. They aren't calculating exact mathematical truths, they're fundamentally just guessing. And this perfectly highlights the battle we're fighting right now. On one side, we have fungible assimilation. That's the automated lossy grinder turning your hard work into an untraceable venison burger. On the other side, non-fungible sovereignty. Think of this more like a stuffed deer head mounted on your wall. It's undeniable, localized proof of a specific hunt by a specific person. It's the difference between a machine statistically guessing what you might want and you forcing a machine to execute exactly what you designed.
Section 3. The 1689 digital breach. Sovereignty and the Royalist cloud.
To achieve that level of non-fungible protection, we rely on a concept called hackicity. It's a beautifully complex philosophical word for the absolute, unique thisness of an event. Think about Paul Revere's ride. It wasn't just some abstract idea. It required a specific man on a specific horse at exactly 10 p.m. True digital sovereignty demands that exact same physical anchor, your specific keystrokes on your specific machine. It's something that just cannot be blended away into a probabilistic cloud. So we have to ask ourselves, are you a caged squirrel in a digital monopoly or a sovereign squirrel hiding your own nuts out in a decentralized forest? The Royalist cloud enclosure model acts like a tech monarch, right? It traps you in a metered utility where they track every single bite you take. But the forest topology pushes intelligence to the edges. You own the hardware, you store your own data, you become the sovereign pilot of your own reality.
Section 4. Tools for legal engineering. Building the modern statute of Anne.
250,000. That is the staggering estimated number of overlapping patents on a single smartphone. Just think about that. It represents a suffocating legal thicket that corporate giants use to essentially crush independent creators. It's an invisible minefield, making independent innovation almost impossible without being sued into oblivion. We literally have to engineer our way out of this trap.
To fight that massive extraction, we need specific legal engineering tools to physically anchor your tech. Notice how these three work together.
ERC 7827 acts as the vault, securely separating and protecting your value. Then Metagit is your digital fingerprint. It provides undeniable, unalterable proof of your physical keystrokes and human stewardship. And finally, the X402 protocol, which we call Chopsticks engineering, handles the actual execution natively, bridging digital truth directly into physical action, all without that heavy bloat.
Let's actually look at how Chopsticks engineering works in practice. Instead of some massive 50-page legal contract or heavy smart contract bloat, we use a beautifully simple 3-step loop. It revives a completely dormant 30-year-old internet status code, HTTP 402 or payment required, and turns it into a totally deterministic event loop. It just bypasses all the mess. Your autonomous agent signs the proof, and it creates an immutable native lock-in.
Section 5. Engineering digital sovereignty, LIFO trees and the protective shell.
By utilizing a LIFO, or last-in, first-out data structure, we completely eliminate the chaos of traditional programming. Because the very last item to go in is always the first item to come out, you unlock incredibly efficient single-entry bookkeeping. You only ever need to look at the top of the stack, at index 0, to get an immediate, flawless mathematical proof of the system's state. There's zero ambiguity here. It's either mathematically true or it isn't.
So this legally engineered shell really flips the script. It actually forces closed AI monopolies to open source their own tech if they try to steal yours, acting as this brilliant copyleft poison pill. Instead of an extractive weapon used by corporate giants, this architecture legally anchors your project and actively shields the open source ecosystem. It guarantees that you, the sovereign pilot, stay firmly in the driver's seat with true, unshakable sovereignty.
Section 6. The 10-year Vineyard. Planting seeds for true sovereignty.
Because honestly, none of this math matters at all if your venture capital forces you to sell out in 18 months. The Legitimacy VC model entirely abandons the casino floor, so we can take a real 10-year time horizon. This allows world-changing, sovereign technology to actually root and compound over time, rather than just burning out in a 2-year hype cycle. True innovation isn't a speculative bet in a casino. It requires deep roots, structural integrity, and the patience of cultivating a vineyard.
The future of human innovation rests entirely on this choice. Will you rent your capabilities from an invisible tech monarch, or will you engineer your own digital sovereignty and actually pilot your own machine? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep exploring, keep building, and I will see you next time.